pretty comfortable in front of people. I can talk in front of people. I did a training out, and I've done different trainings this week. But before I go in there, I said, God, I don't know what these people need. I don't know what these people want. I don't know. I want to be able to connect with these people. And there's a drug-free safety program. I'm trying to. I have no idea what's going on in that company. They have problems. It was interesting after I shared this kind of, I don't know how many people were there that one meeting. 40. A young man came up to me afterward and says, I'm just 3 courses from graduating, and he was graduating in psychology, and he was wanting to be a drug counselor, and he said, that inspired me. He wanted to do this. He's working in a steel place. And if you're instituting a drug-free safety program, it's for people that do cranes or concrete. That's the places that I do this drug-free safety thing. I mean, can you imagine a crane operator high? I mean, that's not what you do. Can you imagine people that are pouring steel that's 2,000 degrees high, and what can happen if someone's not right? So here he came up to me after I said, I looked right, and I said, you can do this. Well, this other fellow he was driving a tow motor some years ago, and this other fellow that was with him caused this accident. It wasn't his fault, but everybody got tested. He was driving a tow motor, and he was tested positive for drugs. And they have a second chance program. His whole life changed because he was ready to change. Nice guy. And now he's a supervisor in the company. If he would ever test positive for one other time, he'd be canned immediately. But I go in there with humility. I said, God, I don't know what these people need. And God opened that job. Oh, man, a lot of money. But I bring God right into that. You bring God right into your work and all that kind of stuff. Now, I can't do this. I can't do it the way God would want to do it. I can do it my way. Then I'm going to produce my results. And I'm going to have my life. I can't do this. Montesorgi says, God wants me to enter the secret place, sit before me, move every facade, mask of pretense, reveal to him the innermost secrets of my heart. He wants a relationship with me based on total transparency and honesty. Intimacy with God must be our first priority. By the time God is finished in our lives, we will be lovers who work rather than workers who love. Well, that's true. And we looked at how Jesus talked about the secret place. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. Jesus says, but when you pray, go into your room. Go into that secret place. Many of us are not centered, and we're not used to being centered. If you're not used to being centered, all of a sudden getting centered is very difficult because everything else has to be quiet. Go into your room and shut the door. For some of us, shutting the door is the hardest thing. Don't let all sorts of other thoughts in that door. You got to block out all the other stuff. This isn't an actual room. This is the room of your heart. God is waiting there. He's standing at the door of our heart knocking. He says, I'm one end. I'm already there. Would you open the door? Shut the door behind you. Don't let all these other voices convince you otherwise. Shut the door, and the Father who is in the secret place, He's already there. I like that. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. And you're sitting down and having a conversation. So how do you go about this? That's what we're going to get into a little bit today. Here's another quote by Sorgy. God doesn't simply want you to get on with the right path. He wants to enjoy you throughout the journey. I think sometimes we got this impression of a relationship with God is that you just got to get it on the right path. You just got to... No, He wants to enjoy you in the journey. He doesn't want you to find His will, then take off running, leaving Him in the dust. God's primary desire for your life is not that you discover His will and walk in it. His primary desire is to draw near to you. God wants to be known and to know you. He desires from that knowing relationship that there become tender walking together in His purposes. This is a life. This is a relationship that there seems to be relatively few believers whose secret life with God is vibrant and life-giving. Why is this? I think the main thing is that we're distracted. We're distracted by all the things that we think we ought to be doing, or what life is about, and that's the beauty. That's why go in and shut the door. Some people just hate it quiet. You always got to have the TV on, something on, something's running, and shut the door. Make your relationship with God a priority. These are, how do we do this? These are just thoughts that I have. Make your relationship with God a priority. Connecting with God is not a decision one makes, it's a relationship one develops. Jeff talked to me, talked about something this next week, and so we just made an appointment. I don't know how else to do it. We can say, well, we'll just let it flow and naturally develop, Jeff. It's not going to happen, is it? Let that relationship with God flow and naturally develop. I don't know how that happens. Set a time with God, just like you set a time with anything else. You set a time, if you're a musician, you set a time to practice. If you're a student, you set a time to study. If you're going to have a relationship with God, set a time with God to say, this is it. Shut everything else out, concentrate, and go for it. And if it's like anything else, at first, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to do it. Then get yourself educated. How do other people do it? What do you have to do? These are the steps. Here's some of the steps that I would encourage you as you connect with God. Just be honest. You cannot enjoy a healthy relationship with God until you're committed to absolute honesty. And I want to underline absolute. Get absolutely honest. What do you really want with God? Why is God really in your life? What do you really want from that relationship with Him? Bill Hybels has a good book. It's called Honest to God. And it's just a book of prayer. It's about being honest, being open, being transparent. I have to go back to this constantly. Sometimes I shut the Bible, I shut other stuff, and I just go on this walk with God. Sometimes staying at home, I get too distracted. I can't do it. I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that, I just got to get away. Just be honest with God. Just be absolutely honest. And sometimes that's just really hard because then I don't know, I figured out, maybe I really don't want God. I just want what God can give me. I'm not really happy about that. But then I can get really better honest with it. Then we can have a real relationship. It doesn't seem to bother Him. The only thing that seems to bother Him is that when I'm not honest. Believe that God is in a good mood. It's going to help your relationship with God if you actually
actually believe He's in a good mood. If you think God is in a bad mood and He's upset with you, it's not going to work. You've got to believe He loves you. You've got to believe. Whether you understand it or not, accept that God really, really loves you and has a great plan for you and wants what's best for you. Unless you believe that, connecting with God is always this guilt-oriented, weird thing that something I sort of have to do. You believe that God's in a good mood. Did you know that God's in a good mood? He's in a great mood, and He's happy about you. He's got over it. He died on the cross for the sins of the world, which includes everything that you've ever done and ever will do. Just get in there with it. Believe that God's in a good mood. If you don't believe that, yeah, it's going to be how do you like hanging around people that are in a bad mood? Don't quite like you. Oh, goody, I get to spend time with them? Oh my goodness, that's a crappy relationship.
Be vulnerable. Just be vulnerable.
Open up. It's kind of similar to being honest, but being vulnerable is even a little bit deeper.
Come to God as a little child. Jesus says, unless you come to me as a little child, this won't work. Just that little child part of you, trusting, dependent, filled with wonder, eyes wide open. You cannot connect deeply with God unless you bring the walls down.
Because you'll always be looking on the other side of the wall. It's like, I want what's in the case. I want that thing that's behind, but you never can quite get it. Just remove the obstructions. Be vulnerable.
And listen.
Listen to God. What about you? You've got to get really quiet. You've got to shut the door. You've got to wait. Listen. And then sometimes it's hard. And what I mean by it's hard, if you're just starting this listening process, write stuff down that you sense that God's telling you. I remember having this assignment with somebody because they said, well, listen to God? I said, yeah. Start listening to God. What I want you to do is just write your prayers out and then just listen. And I want you to just start writing. And this is what she did. It was very interesting. When she sensed it was God, she got a different colored pen. She had her God pen, I guess. It was a different color, and she wrote it down. And they said, what I want you to do then is bring it in. Because she lacks some confidence whether this is God or wasn't God. And I said, and we'll discern it together. She was hearing God. She really, it was fantastic.
Things don't change when we talk to God. Things start changing when God talks to us as we follow Him. Paul Youngie Cho says, he was wondering why is your life, what's the key to your life, the key to the success, what's going on in your life? He says, it's just two things. I pray and I obey. That's it. In the secret place, he hears God, and he follows God. Life could be that simple. Sin puts a wall up. Why is it hard to connect? Sin puts a wall up. This is what it says in Isaiah 59 in the Message. Look, listen, God's arm's not amputated. You ever think his arm's amputated? He can't reach. He can still save. God's ears are not stopped. He can still hear. There's nothing wrong with God. Your sin's got between you, so he doesn't hear. Your hands are drenched in blood. Your fingers dripping with guilt. Sin will block. When you know there's active sin, when there's sin